Yes, we had heard about it. Of course you have. Father is a director of the company, and Commander von Brüning takes great interest in it. They took me down in a diving bell once. I murmured, "Indeed," and Davies sawed laboriously at the bread. She must have misconstrued our sheepish silence, for she stopped and drew herself up, with just a touch of momentary hauteur, utterly lost on Davies. I could have laughed aloud at this transient little comedy of errors. "Did you see any gold?" said Davies at last, with husky solemnity. Something had to be said, or we should defeat our own end, but I let him say it. He had not my faith in Memmert. "No, only mud and timber. Oh, I forgot." "You mustn't betray the company's secrets," I said, laughing. "Commander von Brüning wouldn't tell us a word about the gold." "There's self-denial," I said to myself. "Oh, I don't think it matters much," she answered, laughing too. "You are only visitors." "That's all," I remarked demurely. "Just passing travellers." "You will stop at Norderney?" she said, with naive anxiety. "Herr Davies said—" I looked to Davies; it was his affair. Fair and square came his answer, in blunt dog German. "Yes, of course we shall. I should like to see your father again." Up to this moment I had been doubtful of his final decision, but ever since our explanation at Bensersiel I had had the feeling that I was holding his nose to a very cruel grindstone. This straight word, clear and direct, beyond anything I had hoped for, brought me to my senses, and showed me that his mind had been working far in advance of mine. And more, shaping a double purpose that I had never dreamt of. "My father?" said Fräulein Dollmann. "Yes, I am sure he will be very glad to see you." There was no conviction in her tone, and her eyes were distant and troubled. "He is not at home now, is he?" I asked. "How did you know?" A little maidenly confusion. "Oh, Commander von Brüning." I might have added that it had been clear as daylight all along that this visit was in the nature of an escapade of which her father might not approve. I tried to say, "I won't tell," without words, and may have succeeded. "I told Mr. Davies when we first met," she went on. "I expect him back very soon; to-morrow, in fact; he wrote from Amsterdam. He left me at Hamburg, and has been away since. Of course, he will not know your yacht is back again. I think he expected Mr. Davies would stay in the Baltic, as the season was so late. But I am sure he will be glad to see you." "Is the Medusa in harbour?" said Davies. "Yes, but we are not living on her now. We are at our villa in the Schwanallee. My stepmother and I, that is." She added some details, and Davies gravely pencilled down the address on a leaf of the logbook, a formality which somehow seemed to regularise the present position. "We shall be at Norderney to-morrow," he said. Meanwhile the kettle was boiling merrily, and I made the tea—cocoa, I should say, for the menu was changed in deference to our visitor's tastes. "This is fun," she said. And by common consent we abandoned ourselves, three youthful, hungry mariners, to the enjoyment of this impromptu picnic. Such a chance might never occur again. Carpamus diem. But the banquet was never celebrated. As at Belshazzar's feast, there was a writing on the wall, no supernatural inscription, but just a printed name, an English surname with title and initials, in cheap gilt lettering on the back of an old book. A silent, sneering witness of our snug party. The catastrophe came and passed so suddenly that at the time I had scarcely even an inkling of what caused it, but I know now that this is how it happened. Our visitor was sitting at the forward end of the starboard sofa, close to the bulkhead. Davies and I were opposite her. Across the bulkhead, on the level with our heads, ran the bookshelf, whose contents, remember, I had carefully straightened only half an hour ago, little dreaming of the consequence. Some trifle, probably the logbook which Davies had reached down from the shelf, called her attention to the rest of our library. While busied with the cocoa, I heard her spelling out some titles, fingering leaves, and twitting Davies with the little care he took of his books. Suddenly there was a silence which made me look up, to see a startled and pitiful change in her. She was staring at Davies with wide eyes and parted lips, a burning flush mounting on her forehead, and such an expression on her face as a sleep-walker might wear, who wakes in fear he knows not where. Half her mind was far away, labouring to construe some hideous dream of the past. Half was in the present, cringing before some sickening reality. She remained so for perhaps 10 seconds, and then, plucky girl that she was, she mastered herself, looked deliberately round and up with a circular glance, strangely in the manner of Davies himself, and spoke. How late it was, she must be going. Her boat was not safe. At the same time she rose to go, or rather slid herself along the sofa, for rising was impossible. We sat like mannerless louts in blank amazement. Davies at the outset had said, "What's the matter?" in plain English, and then relapsed into stupefaction. I recovered myself the first, and protested in some awkward fashion about the cocoa, the time, the absence of fog. In trying to answer, her self-possession broke down, poor child, and her retreat became a blind flight, like that of a wounded animal, while every sordid circumstance seemed to accentuate her panic. She tilted the corner of the table in leaving the sofa, and spilled cocoa over her skirt; she knocked her head with painful force against the sharp lintel of the doorway, and stumbled on the steps of the ladder. I was close behind, but when I reached the deck she was already on the counter, hauling up the dinghy. She had even jumped in and laid hands on the sculls, before any check came in her precipitate movements. Now there occurred to her the patent fact that the dinghy was ours, and that someone must accompany her to bring it back. "Davies will row you over," I said. "Oh, no, thank you," she stammered. "If you will be so kind, Herr Carruthers. It is your turn. No, I mean, I want—" "Go on," said Davies to me in English. I stepped into the dinghy and motioned to take the sculls from her. She seemed not to see me, and pushed off while Davies handed down her jacket, which she had left in the cabin. Neither of us tried to better the situation by conventional apologies. It was left to her, at the last moment, to make a show of excusing herself, an attempt so brave and yet so wretchedly lame that I tingled all over with hot shame. She only made matters worse, and Davies interrupted her. "Auf Wiedersehen," he said, simply. She shook her head, did not even offer her hand, and pulled away. Davies turned sharp round and went below. There was no muddy Rubicon to obstruct us, for the tide had risen a great deal, and the sands were covering. I offered again to take the sculls, but she took no notice and rowed on, so that I was a silent passenger on the stem seat till we reached her boat, a spruce little yacht's gig, built to the native model, with a spoon bow and tiny lee boards. It was already afloat, but riding quite safely to a rope and a little grapnel, which she proceeded to haul in. "It was quite safe after all, you see," I said. "Yes, but I could not stay. Herr Carruthers, I want to say something to you." I knew it was coming. Von Brüning's warning over again. "I made a mistake just now. It is no use calling on us tomorrow." "Why not?" "You will not see my father." "I thought you said he was coming back." "Yes, by the morning steamer, but he will be very busy." "We can wait. We have several days to spare, and we have to call for letters anyhow." "You must not delay on our account. The weather